with the Times of India as well. And then I got an invite for attending this HR summit. And you know how it is, that you can never say no to the Times of India. And that's how I'm here, but I'm very glad that I'm here to talk to you. Mr. Ranjan Roy, who we just heard, and Mr. Manish Gupta from GIMS, who's associating himself with this summit. And in front of me, I have leading lights from the HR industry, the human resource departments of various organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, friends from the media, it is indeed a privilege for me to be here. And even though my ministry is called the Human Resource Development Ministry, Mr. Roy, and at one point in time it was actually because we had, apart from education, youth and sports affairs, culture, and other departments in this ministry. And that is why it was called the Human Resource Ministry. But now actually it is only the Education Ministry. And so there's no overlap between what you do in terms of managing people and my ministry, because we create the future. But one thing that I have in common with the HR fraternity is that we manage people. You do it in your company, in your organization, maybe fewer in number. I, as a politician, have to manage huge numbers. And that's where the challenge is. And slowly, when I got into this department, because I've had the fortunate part of working under different ministries, from petroleum to road transport, and now the HRD ministry. And when I joined the HRD ministry, not that we are champions of the subject, we are only representing the people's views. The experts are the officers who work, and the various vice chancellors and the principals who do constitute the HRD department. But one thing I realized was that the demographic advantage that India has, and what Mr. Roy was talking about, even though he complimented me for my youth, but when I go to these colleges, universities, and schools, I realize I'm not in the advantaged group. There's a huge young population which is below 25, and that is half of India. So you can imagine, as being a minister in the education department, I'm actually responsible for channelizing and giving the direction to half of India. Because if you are below 25, you are mostly in a college, university, school, and that's where the challenge lies, where we have a great advantage of this young population that India has. But to give it the right direction, the right values, the right education, will be a major challenge and will decide which way our country goes and how well our country progresses by ensuring that this young minds, the youth of India, impressionable minds. And when I go to schools, I talk about to teachers and tell them how important their role is, because they are dealing with those children from 1 to 12 or KG to 12 or nursery to 12. And their minds are like sponges. They will absorb anything that their teacher tells them and carry it for their whole life. So let's me get back to the HR summit and not to the education summit. So what I'm going to talk to you about is how things are changing, and I'm also facing it in my political career. The way the society and the composition of India is evolving, the various environments that you deal with are changing. There's increasing globalization, there's rapid technological change, and there is tougher competition. And that's where the HR role comes into play, where you got to be in tune with times and evolve with times. And I was speaking to my fellow colleague who's in the communication ministry, and he told me, if we don't get on the bandwagon of changing with times, we are going to be left behind, and we are going to be talking to a population who we won't be able to relate, we won't be able to be relating to. They will be thinking something else. it was very easy for most of us in this room, since I don't see any really young people below 25 here. And the example is that we began from computers to the keyboard to accessing internet, and then we reached to that smartphone and started accessing the net on that phone. But there is a generation today which never used a computer in their life. They don't know what a caps lock and a capital, whatever the keyboard is. They have accessed that net from their mobile straight away. They don't even know, especially from where I come from, the rural areas. They're accessing the web, they're reading the news, they're getting information from that mobile phone. They don't know, and that's how it's evolving, and that's how it's moving ahead. And to tell you, Mr. Roy, in years to come, and time will come, when